All right. Who's nice and caffeinated? Who's sluggish? All right, you're in for a bit of a treat with this session because it's everyone's favourite topic, content. And I want to start with a quick poll just to get a bit of a pulse on the room. So hands up nice and high if your business consistently posts content. Real high, get the energy going. And keep it up if you post at least once a week or more. Awesome, hands down. All of you didn't get to participate then, hands up who post content sporadically or no content at all. Nice and high. All right, now we're going to warm up our voices a little bit. So just start yelling out the constraints. What is in the way of you creating content right now? Just scream them out at me.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know who I'm supposed to speak to.
Keep going. You're doing great. You're doing my session for me. So it's very common. What do you say? What do you even talk about when you create content? Then when you've talked about it, where do you put it? Where does it go? What equipment do you use? There's all these other priorities in my business. Content's at the bottom of the list. I get it. It's one of the most difficult things as a business owner, and the majority of people are not native or natural content creators. We've got completely opposite skills. So, there's a screenshot. That fella on the screen there is me. That is the first time I put my face and my voice on the internet. And it was shot in my mum and dad's bed, well, not my mum and dad, my bedroom at my mum and dad's house. I'm wearing a suit, and my mouth moved at a different speed to the audio when it went online. And just like all of you, when I posted, I was petrified. I'm like, what if someone says something? 10 minutes after I posted it, ping, I got a comment. You're gay, you little, it rhymes with maggot. So that was my introduction to putting a video online. And fortunately, I went and had a look at the profile of the comment. It was a cannabis leaf with a pseudonym that had never posted a video. And I had a choice, never post content again, or just keep going. And 3 years later, does anyone recognize the gentleman on the far right? Hands up if you do. A few of you do. So that's Grant Cardone. He's one of the most prolific content creators ever to grace this earth, similar to a Gary Vee, if you're familiar with Gary Vee. And he's also been on Undercover Billionaire. And I ended up having a show. There was a Grant Cardone TV network called Aussie Closers. Don't watch it. It's awful. And we did about 14 episodes. And then I ended up flying to Miami to get interviewed by Grant, which was a bit surreal, in his studio. So I've had some interesting experiences with content along the way, but that's a bit of a lens and a backstory. But today, what I wanted to do was go through a system. So Rob Morgan, you'll love this. The 30 days in 30 minutes content creation system. So who likes the sound of being able to create 30 days content in 30 minutes? Hands up nice and high. Great. You're in the right room then. Does anyone remember this gentleman who used to be, yes, Sean and Rob Morgan would, a few of the inner circle. Yes, Yuri. So Mark Flynn was a former IC member. And say hi to Mark, by the way. That's not really him, that's just a picture. So one of the biggest frustrations for agency owners when it comes to content creation is getting stuff from clients. We spend just as much time chasing people for photos, for videos, for what we need, as we do actually creating content. And one day I was on Zoom with Mark, and Mark's a bricklayer, and Mark said to me, I want to create some videos so I can build up my profile inside the Melbourne construction industry, which is a fantastic idea. And he goes, how do you think we should do it? And I said, I'm just going to hit record, let's just try something out. And I go, so Mark, how did Brickett get started? And as if we were having a beer at the pub, he starts rattling off this beautiful story of how Brickett came to life. I said, well, what do you do that saves builders time? He works in the commercial space predominantly. What are some of the issues you see with cheaper contractors and providers in the marketplace? And he ripped into them. And then after about 20 minutes of this back and forth, we stopped recording. And I sent the video over to my editor, and I said, can you just cut any clips that you think we might be able to use as social media content? The next day, I got a folder back, and there are 12 videos in there. And we put the Bricket captions and branding on it. And that's where I realized we'd solved a massive problem, because that session was not planned. It was spontaneous. It was unscripted. And Mark, who's just a genuine good bloke bricklayer, absolutely nailed it, and we got 12 videos out of it. So that was how this system was birthed, almost accidentally. But before we create any content, we're trying to build freedom businesses here. And Amber addressed a lot of the different ways that you can look at marketing strategy. So we need to understand why even create content in the first place, and does it help us build a freedom business or not? Because in some cases it may not contribute to that, in some cases it probably will. So let's unpack this a little bit. This is one of my favorite exercises to do. Who's ever just stopped and people watched in public? Put your hands up if you've ever done that. Just have a look at what you'll see when you go outside and you watch groups of people. I'm not joking. When I take Bailey, my son, to the park, I leave my phone at home because of this. If I look around at the other parents whose kids are playing in the park, it's like this. So the average adult, the average human, spends 2.5 hours a day on social media, which is a little bit alarming, but as a business owner, it's also an opportunity. And if we're not meeting people where their attention is, and I don't think this trend is going to go backwards, then someone else will be getting their attention in that space. So that's what we need to consider. Now, Amber also touched on this, which is very, very important. So if you're just a business that looks like everyone else, what's going to happen? Well, you're just going to get compared on price. So it's a race to the bottom. If you create content, it gives you a platform to showcase how you're different. Okay, especially if you're at the higher end of the market, you're bespoke, you're boutique, you can talk about the quality, the experience. You can talk about, like Mark did, what happens when you go with the cheaper options, the defects, the delays, not getting the right materials, the mistakes, and actually call out and explain why the value's there. So if you put content out, you can actually help handle some of the objections or some of the things that may be getting in the way of you converting clients at the moment. So content can be a great way to separate yourself from all the other businesses out there that look the same. Alex Hormozi coined this phrase, or that's the first person that I heard it from, and I love this concept. Hands up those of you that joined the Inner Circle in the last 12 months. Nice and high, and welcome. Great to have you in the room. How many of you went and had a look at Sean online when you were making a decision about joining? Hands up nice and high again. Okay, so that's the invisible hand playing its role. So what you've got there is someone going, okay, I'm interested in a solution. They can solve a problem that I have, but I'm going to go clarify that decision before I move forward. So what your prospects find or don't find online is going to either increase or decrease their desire to transact with you. So just think about that. If I go Google your business right now, if I go to your business on social media right now, would I increase my desire and trust to buy from you, or would I decrease my desire? And we don't even see the impact of this a lot of times, because some people have never reached out, they've never touched base, they've just had a look, and they've gone away. So it's really, really important to go, okay, if someone that's interested in that buying mindset goes to check out my business right now, am I increasing their desire or likelihood to move forward, or am I decreasing it? And that's where content can play a key role in this process. Digital assets. So a good metaphor for digital assets is real estate. Each time you put a post online, it creates a URL. So you're essentially taking up a piece of online real estate. And just like the real estate market, you've got location, you've got timing, all these things influence the quality of that real estate. The more quality digital assets that you create for your business, the easier it becomes for your business to get discovered, which means it becomes more valuable into the future. So as you keep building and creating more and more quality assets, you create more chances for your business to get discovered online. All right, who's ever had the experience where you've posted something, a comment has led to a conversation, and it's led to a client or someone buying from you? Hands up nice and high. What about someone that may have reached out and messaged you on the back of a post or a video? Nice and high. Fantastic. So you've all seen that just posting content can sometimes lead to generating new business because you posted at a time someone's looking to solve a problem, and there you are saying, hey, I can solve that problem for you. So it can play a role in bringing in new business. All right. Who feels like there is a little bit of a case maybe to do some content in your business if you've been a little bit slack with it lately? Brilliant. So the 30 days in 30 minutes system, let's unpack this a little bit. So step one, whose constraints were I don't know what to say, I don't know what to talk about? Hands up nice and high if that was you. I've been doing content for a long time. It still happens to me. I'm like, what the hell do I talk about today? I feel like I've spoken about everything and I've done it 14 times. So we're going to solve that constraint in the room today so you don't have an excuse like that anymore or a reason. So we're going to go through a little process to find relevant content ideas in 60 seconds, and we're not going to use ChatGPT, okay? We're going to do a different approach, and it'll tie in nicely to something that we're going to cover tomorrow, and you'll understand why we're going down this path a little bit. So there's this magical section on Google that a lot of people aren't aware of. So whenever you put a search into Google, you can scroll down the fold a little bit, and there's a section called People Also Ask. And that little practical example that you probably can't read, we're doing it with Deb Blonde Republic. We put blonde hair in there to see what questions come up. So what I want you to do now, we're going to do this for 60 seconds. Is get your phone out. Go to Google or go to Safari, whatever app you've got that has access to Google, and just put in a search that one of your customers might type in online. So let's say you're a mortgage broker, you might put in home loans, you might put in interest rates, or you might put in property markets, and then just scroll down to the People Also Ask section. What that gives you are questions and queries that your target customers are asking online. So from the lens of a business owner, who, not how, you could have a team member go through, there might be 5 or 6 topics that you want to cover off that can start solving problems and answering questions for your target customers. So you would copy these questions into a spreadsheet. If you want more questions, you click the little down arrow, you'll get another 3 or 4 questions, down arrow again, another 3 or 4 questions, and then you go through your 3 or 4 or 5 topics and you park them in a spreadsheet, and then you'll have several months of content ideas that are tailored for your target audience, which is really, really important. Who we create content for matters a lot. So I'll get you to put your phones back on the desk now, you naughty. Who feels like they can get content ideas pretty quickly? Relevant content ideas? Great. So we've solved the problem there. Now this isn't set in stone, it's just an idea. So when it comes to content, we want to have a little bit of variety, and those content questions that you just came up with then are what I call educational questions. And educational questions are there to create goodwill, to create expertise, to create trust up front. So people go, oh, this person can solve my problems. This business, this brand can solve my problems. So that's really good for giving free value before someone's transacted with you, and also for people that are following along to become ambassadors that don't never become clients, but they just become fans of what you do because you're always helping them out. The second pillar I call social proof, which is just showing that your stuff works. So it's showcasing your capabilities. So what are some projects that you've worked on? What are you working on right now? What are some testimonials? What are some case studies? It's just showing that your stuff works. Brand and story, this is really communicating and creating a connection piece. So how did your business get started? Who is in the team? Who do you want to meet? What is your role in the local community? How do you play a role with that? Where is the brand going? What is the mission? What are the values? So you're sharing that with the marketplace as well, and really humanizing the business. So you're not just another logo and business name in a sea of hundreds of others. And then 10% can just be offers. Hey, you can buy something from us. So people that are following along see what they can buy from you. So that just creates a nice balance of goodwill up front where you're showing the expert gap, here's how my stuff works. Hey, we're human too. Here's the connection piece, and hey, you can buy stuff from us. So you create your own recipe, but that's just something that you might like to work with. Step number 2, record. Who even feels a little bit of tension or energy when that word gets up on the screen? It's very unnatural, isn't it, to have a camera thrust on you and to start talking at a camera. It's not how we do life. I suppose if you get on a reality TV show and they're following you around every day, you get pretty used to it. So as Sean mentioned, the way that this 30 days in 30 minutes works is we've got our questions that we got from the previous step in our research. So we already know what we're going to talk about in advance. So as a freedom business owner, you can set this up with your team. So you've got your questions, and the way that Sean does it is I jump on Google Meet, and I'm his interviewer, and Sean just stands there in front of his phone, and he records to his phone as long as he remembers to hit record button, which he forgot to do once. And halfway through came the barrage of words that I will not repeat here on stage. So you can do this on Zoom, you can do this on Teams, you can do whatever platform you use, and a cool way to do it, just have your team doing the Q&A session once a month for 30 minutes, answering the questions that you've got from your research step. Very light and easy process. Now, we've all got cutting-edge recording technology in our hands. Nowadays, all the smart devices that are modern have phenomenal cameras in them. So this is enough to get started. You don't need to go out and get all this elaborate equipment. You can certainly do that as you evolve and get down the track. But if you record like this on a phone, you're going to get very high-quality footage, as you know, when you've spoken to people on FaceTime, recorded videos in the past if you've ever done anything like that. So from the technology standpoint, a smartphone will get the job done. I will see if there are any questions around the recording process here, just in case someone has anything that they want to ask.
With the recording stuff on the Zoom call,
Yep.
was Sean supposed to record it naturally on his phone? So there's like something, when the video quality can sometimes, if the bandwidth isn't the best.
So yeah, the best, if you want a guaranteed high quality footage, record directly to the phone. If you're all using good internet, high quality webcams, join on your phones for the session, you'll still get very high quality footage. But if you want to get high definition, record it to the phone is the safest bet. And that's what most people opt for when we go through this process. But you can certainly record to the streaming platforms as well, depending on your business and what you're going for. So then the step that precedes this is upload it to Google Drive. And at this point, the work's pretty much done as a freedom business owner. It's ready to go to the next step in the process. Step 3 is called repurpose. So we're going to take a 30-minute recording of a conversation and we're going to turn it into 30 days of content. So the type of content that we're looking for with this particular strategy is what we call short form content. Who doesn't know what short form content is? Put your hand up if you don't know. Okay, so pretty much all the content that you're getting served on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, just about all the platforms now is in that category of short form content. So it's generally in that portrait mode or that selfie mode, and their clips are 30 seconds, minute, a couple of minutes long. So there's an example of our fearless leader on the screen there in Noosa. But why short form? Why are we going to go down this route of creating short form content? You can yell it out if you want. You guys are onto this. The good news for as business owners is it's actually low barrier to entry. Imagine the effort going into edits a, say, 10-minute video. It's going to take a lot longer versus a 30-second video where most of the platforms now have inbuilt capabilities that don't cost anything to edit your videos at all because they want you to get the content up there to keep people on the platform so they can serve more ads to them. So there's no excuses, no resources problem for anyone to get into content in the current landscape, which is really exciting. We're all able to play the game. Yes, 8.25 second is the average human attention span last time I looked it up. And with content, you've probably got 1 to 2 seconds. Let's be honest, you've got the headline or the opening sentence that comes out of your mouth. You've got no time at all. And because of this trend, I think our attention spans will get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Someone that is a stranger and isn't familiar with your business may happily invest 30 seconds to watch a video. But getting them to watch 10 minutes and to be able to maintain their attention for 10 minutes is a real challenge, which is why if you've ever created long form content and you've posted it and you've gone, 4 people saw it, that's because people generally fizzle out of watching it a couple of seconds into it. But with a 20-second commitment, they're a lot more likely to retain their attention for that 20 seconds. So we're just playing the game with this strategy. And because of TikTok, all the other platforms had to adapt when they saw how this attention trade was going. So Instagram introduced Reels, which was followed by Facebook Reels. YouTube went over to Shorts. And even our mates at LinkedIn decided that they were going to jump on the ride earlier this year. And I think Sean was the only person on LinkedIn posting these videos because he was getting an insane amount of views, which was crazy. And it was insane. We're like, what's going on? All in New York as well, which is interesting. And when we go down this path, the platforms want to show what people are consuming. So we've got to create content that actually feeds into that landscape so we can take advantage of what the platforms want. Now, will that evolve? Of course it will. Things are going to change when we all start wearing glasses when we're in augmented virtual reality worlds and all that sort of thing. But right now, this is what the platforms are serving to the people on the platform. So we just got to play that game at the moment. Here's the exciting part. Even if you don't have followers, even if you don't have content that's out there right now, you can get some fast traction with Reels, with Shorts. And the majority of your viewership will come from non-followers, so people that are not following your business. So you can get some instant gratification, which is really exciting because putting a lot of that effort in, all good, putting a lot of that effort in and not getting, and 2 people saw it and your mum liked it can be a little bit flattening when you're starting out. JB.
Based on your experience with LinkedIn, for example,
yes,
carousels came in and they were sort of all the rage for about a week.
Yes.
And is it because people couldn't even be bothered just scrolling, they just want to be literally entertained?
Well, LinkedIn's one of those interesting platforms. I struggle to keep up with what it's thinking and what it's doing. And the carousel is still getting used at a very high level. But the way LinkedIn works, the way I understand it, and I'm certainly not proclaiming to be an expert here, it's very much about the first 40 minutes after you post that dictates a lot of the traction that you get. So when you post it and then what happens in that first 40 minutes will very heavily influence how well your posts go on LinkedIn. Now, when Sean started putting his shorts out onto LinkedIn, it's decided it was just going to serve videos to whoever jumped into that video section. It was just going to pump videos at them. And Sean was doing a video a day on LinkedIn. So he was doing a very high volume when the average person doesn't even post once a week on LinkedIn. So we assumed that because Sean was such a high producer of content, there wasn't enough content going around that his video was just getting fed to anyone and everyone that could see it. So yeah, LinkedIn's an interesting beast compared to other platforms, and we're going to jump into that a little bit tomorrow when we go into the platform specifically and some of the applications, and there's some major opportunities for every business owner in the room, not so much with content, but with some opportunities to create joint ventures, which we'll talk about. So again, we always want to have the lens of the freedom business owner whenever we're looking at a strategy. Who, not how. It's been said many times today. So we've got this recording of the 30-minute conversation that we've had with our team, or our team has had the conversation. I know, Yuri, you've had multiple team members jump on and do this process, and you did the first one. I think probably 4 or 5 different team members did it over different iterations. So then you want to pass it off so it can get transformed into this short-form content. So what the instructions look like, cut a clip for each of the questions. So remember, we're going after very specific questions that your audience are searching for online. So we're creating very intentional content that solves their problems. So we want to get one of the clips that corresponds to each of those questions that we're targeting. And I'll talk a little bit how that plays into search tomorrow. The video size, that's just what you want for short form content. So that's the dimensions, 1080 width by 920, which is just portrait mode essentially. Then you can do all the awesome branding that you get help from Amber with. You get your brand colors, your fonts, and you can put them on the video so keep it nice and uniform and on brand for your business and make sure you're standing out and people make that association. If you've never done short form content before and you're getting someone to produce them for you, just share what you like. 3 examples. If you're someone that likes B-roll, and B-roll is where there's like cutaway scenes and photos and emojis and all that sort of thing, then send an example of that. If you want it really crisp, uniform and strong, maybe you work in government and corporate sectors and that's really, really important in the way that you show up in your content, then share examples of that really polished version that you like, because we all have different markets and segments. Just show an editor what you want produced so they can mirror exactly what you want. So call to action you can have on every single one, but my call to actions would be looking for engagement. I'd be looking to extract questions from people watching the videos. And the reason why I'd want people to be asking questions is, one, that helps with the traction. If people are engaging in the comments, 2, it can extract a conversation for you as a business owner, which you can then take to Messenger, you can take offline, so you can extract a problem and then start talking to it. So general rule of thumb is, if I'm going to ask for a call to action on a generic piece of content that doesn't have another goal, I'll be asking people to comment or ask a question in the comments below. There's a tool called, there's many of these tools by the way. This just turned 2 years old. So if you're bootstrapping and you aren't in a position to use resources for, say, editing, a tool like Opus Clip, you can give it a clip, it'll put captions with your branding template on the videos and it'll do it in a matter of seconds. So you've got tools like this that can save a ton of time. They can also repurpose videos for you. So it doesn't matter what stage of business you're at, what budget you're working with. This is, again, accessible to everyone at every level, which is really, really exciting. We couldn't all play this game a few years ago. Any questions before we go into the written side of that?
As with people having an attention span of 8 seconds or less, I'd imagine the first couple of lines, like you said, the first couple of seconds is absolutely paramount to keep them watching.
Correct.
Do you have any tips around, and it's a very specific question here, do you have any tips around the right hook or the right thing to go, hey, say this, and they'll stay longer?
So when we're getting our questions from the research phase, you can open up your video with that. So you can actually start by repeating the question and then going into the answer. Another thing that you can do is called a call out. And what that is, you actually put an overlay on the video, and Opus Clip and all the platforms will let you do this, which actually hovers on top of the video to give context about what the video is about. So if you go look at Airworks, Richie's videos, you'll see a couple of examples of that. If you go to his feeds, where there's like a call out for the first 4 seconds that has the topic of the video, and that way it hooks and actually tells the person, oh, this is what the video is about. So there's a couple of things that you can do to actually stay on point and attract the right eyeballs to watch your content, because it's about quality, not quantity of viewership. All right, so how do you create written content? Now this process any of us can do in a matter of seconds now. And what's great is we can actually create original content. So not something that's a repeat or a duplicate of what ChatGPT's given you that already exists multiple times on the web, and unoriginal thoughts. So if you've uploaded your video to Google Drive, there's a tool called rev.com. You can just share the Google link to Rev. It'll transcribe it into text in about 4 to 5 minutes. So you'll get your 30-minute conversation back in text format. If you've used Zoom, if you've used Google Meet, a lot of it just transcribes it for you automatically, so you speed up that step. So rev.com will transcribe very accurately your conversation into text. Who's got ChatGPT on their devices? Hands up. Who does not have ChatGPT on their devices? Cool. So once you've got your transcript back from Rev, we just voice memo ChatGPT. Prompt number 1, ChatGPT, can you proofread and correct this 30-minute transcription? Give it the transcription file. Prompt number 2, so you always want to give context. So ChatGPT knows who your audience is, who your target customers are, who the content's for, so it can have that in consideration when it's doing its thing. ChatGPT, my target audience is, and just go into as much detail as you can about your target audience, the location, who they are, and so forth. Prompt number 3, ChatGPT, here is an example, and then give it your social media link, whatever platform the content is for, so it can see how you currently write content. And it can actually mimic the current style that you produce content in and keep it nice, uniform, and on brand. Can you ensure the posts match the existing conversational voice structure and format? Okay, so again, we're keeping it on brand, uniform with the way the business currently produces content, unless you've just been putting ChatGPT content out already and it's very AI-y, then this will actually make it more original, more conversational, and more on brand for you. And then ChatGPT, convert each of the 12 question responses into engaging LinkedIn, whatever platform you're targeting, posts using a conversational tone. Conversational tone is much more powerful for getting engaging content than what most content reads like. GB.
Could you go back a slide?
I can.
So we're both prolific posters on LinkedIn. When you say the LinkedIn feed, how do you point ChatGPT? Is it to Amanda's
That's
profile?
where you'll have to. That's where you have to post it and share, grab the feed. So are you saying where do you get the link for the feed from?
Well, is it just Amanda's profile where the feed is, or how do you?
Yep. So if you go to your profile and you go down to you have to scroll down a bit, and there's an activity section where it has your posts. Click on that. That'll open up your personal post feed, and then just copy that URL and give it to ChatGPT. And that'll do that for you. And same on any platform. Just go to the link where all your posts are on that platform, and just give it to them. And then convert each of the 12 question responses into the post. We covered that one. And then here's where we can push for engagement. So again, tell ChatGPT to encourage questions in the comments. So get them to ask people to ask questions in the comments, and then add 2 to 3 relevant hashtags to help your post show up with people following those hashtags. So in roughly 30 to 60 seconds, you'll get your 30-minute conversation into 12 posts that are original, ready to go out onto social media on brand in the right conversational tone with all those optimizations for engagement. Okay, we've created all this content. Now, how do we actually get it to the client? This is where it starts to get interesting. So go to the notes section in your workbooks, and we're just going to fill in the blanks here. So for most businesses, there's almost an 80-20 rule when it comes to social media. One platform is probably going to produce 80% of the results for most businesses. So you just want to consider which platform has the attention of your target customers. And one way to look at this is which platform do you use when you're doing things in your industry for your business. And I'll give you some hints. If it's sort of your mum and dad audience, your consumer audience, Facebook, Instagram, which is otherwise known as Meta, could be your primary platform. If you're in the B2B space, or you've got a very government or sector-based or executive-based target client to work with, then LinkedIn can be a really good primary platform. If you're after the younger generation that are coming through and emerging, then TikTok could be a platform. And I'm going to say for just about every business, there's a really good case for YouTube being your secondary platform because of some of the search capabilities that it can have, and we'll cover a little bit about that tomorrow. Schedule time. So you want to post your content when people are using the platform, and more specifically your target audience. For most mum and dad audiences, the best time is in the evening, so they're working during the day, they're making dinners, looking after the kids in that period when they get home from work. They're finished with their day, they get on the couch in the later sort of nighttime and scroll. So from that 7 to 10 p.m. window can be a really good time to post. If you are in that professional space, often the morning commute on LinkedIn, posting that morning window can be a really good time to post. And of course, you can always ask ChatGPT or Google, when is the best time to post for my industry target clients, and you'll get a pretty good answer as well. For posting frequency, this is just a commitment to yourself, because every business in this room is going to have very different goals with marketing and social media. So there's no cookie cutter approach, it's very subjective. But if you're deciding that content can play a role in helping you build a freedom business, just write down what you're committed to as a posting frequency if you don't have one already. So you can make a micro commitment to yourself. And then tags. So with hashtags, there's a tool called besthashtags.com, and you can take one hashtag that your target clients might use. So let's say you are a mortgage broker and it was home loans. You put that into best hashtags. It'll spit out the top hashtags that you can use on different platforms. And you just select the ones that are most relevant for that post that someone might be following, because then you get an opportunity to potentially show that content to someone that's following that hashtag. Now, that's the organic side of doing what we can to optimize to get our content in front of clients. We can always pay to play and guarantee that we reach our target clients. Imagine if you had a post like Amber's that got, was it 16,000 comments? You probably don't need to boost that. But at the end of it, as every post sort of has a lifespan and then the traction stops. If you have a post that takes off and then the traction stops, boost it, because you've got all this engagement, all this interaction already on the post. So it's already proven that it responds with the market. So you can keep riding the wave by putting some fuel on the fire. If you can read on the screen there, on most platforms now, when you post as a business, it's going to have boost, promote, sponsor, a big button so you can give it money. And what the exchange is, hey, if you give us money, we'll show you the content to whoever you want based on the goal that you want. So if you can see up there on the screen, you can set an automatic goal where it'll figure out intuitively what it thinks your goal is. It could be to get more views. I want people to watch this video so they build a deeper connection with my business. It could be, I want to grow my customer base. I want to get more calls. So you get to tell the platform what you want to achieve with the piece of content. Here's the cool part. If you're a local business and your customers are in a fixed service area, you can put in that location. So a great example, Blonde Republic, Deb, a fair few of you would know Deb in Tamworth, so regional town. We could put in females in Tamworth and just show the content by boosting it to females in Tamworth. And let's say her best customers were 25 and above. We can put 25 and above as the age range. Yes, Patrick? So if you post any content to a business page, there will be a button underneath each post saying boost or sponsor or promote, a big blue one usually, and it'll be encouraging you to pay them to. You can do it as on a company page, but not on a personal profile on LinkedIn. And then the cool thing is the budget, it can be as little as $1 or $2 a day. So anyone can play as much to however much you want to commit to whatever the goal of that piece of content is. So again, there's no barriers to entry. Anyone can do this and get their content in front of their target clients if they want to do this. And very quickly, before we wrap up, a couple of things about AI. So we've all watched content by now where we've seen an event that we thought was real. We've seen a person that we thought was real, but it was an AI avatar, and we had no idea. If you're in an advisory business and you're using avatars and you're feeding it ChatGPT scripts and unoriginal thought, just think about the brand implication that could have with a customer or someone in the marketplace if they thought that was a real person and they felt misled. So you just want to weigh those things up and also consider the IP implications that could come with that. My take on it is just be transparent. If you are using an AI avatar, that's cool. But just, hey, this is our AI avatar today he's answering this question. So your audience doesn't feel misled by it. I think that's really important. And you do, on most platforms, have to declare, there's a checkbox if you've used a synthetic content, which means it's not a real event. So make sure you check that box if you go down that route to avoid any punishment for your actions. So that's just a quick side note because it's fun to play around with this stuff, right? That's it. Are there any questions before I get out of here? Yes?
I just had an employee create a lot of content like capability statements, a lot of business plans, a lot of documents. It was coming back from the internet like I wrote it myself. And what I realised that the AI was stealing my content of other things I've done in the past over time. I put myself through the AI. It came up, I'm a professional, and someone from Queensland. It was a really good rap, but like, what do we do when it's wrong? And how can we feed the AI to train it so that it's actually bringing back our stuff? Like, can we submit fake web pages? It's got me baffled.
So with AI, you do have to train it. It's like an employee. the internet, it's going to pull things. So if there's inaccurate things online, it's going to grab that and pull that information very quickly and feed it back to you. Like I've asked AI questions to see how good it is, knowing the answer, and it's given me something that was inaccurate or false because it's gone to... So we have to, one, like Amber was talking to, our brand's really important. So we need to build that brand really strong. So it's easy for AI, and it's going to get better. The learning machines that are coming out in the next version of ChatGPT 5 are going to be insane compared to what we're currently used to, which means they will get much more accurate and on point. But again, it's about training. And if it's giving you something you don't like, you, like a team member, you have to pull it up and say, hey, no, we're after this. And you need to give it that feedback. Did you have a question, Luke?
Yeah, I had a quick question just regarding the posting. You mentioned like you want to post it at a time that your audience is active. And I think like sort of what you said about LinkedIn, how the first 30 minutes of engagement, obviously it's going to help it get fed out more.
Yep.
I heard ages ago about using, social media planner tools, like there's heaps of different ones out there. Does that impact, do you like to try to...
My take is use the native platform scheduling tool. Yep. Because if you're using the platforms, and tomorrow I'll show you an example of how Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, will show you when to post, when your audience is online. It just tells you, and you can just schedule it there. So I'm a big advocate of, like with Sean, all his content scheduled via that actual platform. So LinkedIn scheduled via LinkedIn, Meta is scheduled via Meta, because if you're using external tools, obviously they're not going to look as favorably as if you're using their own native platform tool.
They penalise you, don't they?
Yeah, they penalise you, yeah. Last one.
So if we wanted to do this in-house, we have somebody doing the editing and the videos and the posting and the scheduling and the whole fucking thing. How many hours a week do you think that would take? Like, is that a part-time job? Is it a full-time job? What are we looking at here?
You're talking about creating 30 days in 30 minutes?
Yeah, that's approach, and then probably the scheduling and then the planning, like, and then running the thing on Facebook. And
yeah, so probably now, depending on what they're using for editing, it could be done in a day if they're good. They could get all of that done because the content can get written so fast. So if you had someone that was in-house that specialized and just focused on that, if they were pretty proficient with the editing tools and getting that done, the copy gets done very fast, and then it's just a matter of scheduling it out. So it could be done in probably 12 hours a month if someone was just focused on that role.
Or outsource it to someone who does it every day.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, Az.
Thank you.
A massive round of applause.